Welcome, everybody, back to Outside the Box Conversations. And there's a really good chance that, actually, no, there's 100% chance that you just heard my man here in our intro. And because you hear him coming into the podcast and you'll hear him going out of the podcast. And of course, I'm talking about Brad Blackwell. Brad, how you doing, man?
I'm excellent.
I'm honestly, I'm geeked out about this. I've been thinking about it all day. This is towards the end of the day when we're recording, and I knew that Brad was going to be on the show today, and there's just so many different directions that I want to talk with you about. And for one, tell me about you. Do you know the song that we have on the podcast?
Oh, I know it very well. Familiar. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I texted you maybe a week ago, and I was like, man, I hope you know that we're using your song on every single.
No. What you didn't know is that I'd already talked with Jenny about it, and I
you gave the approval.
I encouraged it. I wanted it to happen.
Okay,
yeah.
so for everybody out there, we do have approval. It is with his permission, and we're so thankful because it's making the podcast way cooler.
Please,
it
was already cool, but I'm happy that I could solve your intro music problem. So.
Well, one thing that I like to do on the show every once in a while is I like to tell some of the story of performance medicine, and you're rapidly becoming a big part of our story. And I like to introduce some of the key players, and Brad, of course, is our CFO now, and so we get to talk all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
We talk business stuff, and we talk performance medicine, we talk vision, and but I want to go back and kind of go back to some of your experience with the music stuff. And how did, you were in Knoxville, and you were coming out of school, and you knew you wanted to go the music route.
Yeah. Well, I will say I did not know.
Okay.
But that was certainly the path that I was on.
Okay. How do you get on that path? What the path being, you're playing shows and you want to do more of this?
Yeah. Honestly, it was affirmation from the public. I didn't start playing music until very later in life. Didn't learn how to play guitar until I was really a senior in high school, and didn't start playing in front of people until I was probably latter part of my freshman year of college. So I had, it's not like I grew up my whole life wanting to do nothing but play music. So
how did that happen? You're an athlete, and how did that transition from athlete to music? Was it just like hey, this is interesting?
I don't know. I mean, it's been affirming to me as an athlete or as a basketball player. It could be very frustrating because I love sports and particularly basketball, but you work really hard and you can get to a point, you get better, but it was just, people are always better than you, or some people just get things easier than you do, and I guess I would struggle with that. But then what happened with music, it kind of was revealing to me, because it came very easy to me. I didn't ask for it. It just kind of, it was, I just got it. I don't know how to explain it. And I was like, oh, I guess sometimes some people can just do things, and they're kind of however they're hardwired. I guess I can be very ADD or maybe OCD, whatever the word is, but I can just get locked in on something. And when it came down to learning a song that I liked, and I figured out that it was possible. And then once I started to see the patterns that all these songs are the same in terms of a lot of popular music follows a similar structure. I mean, it was kind of off to the races.
Well, and one thing, as we talk every week, one thing that came up when we were talking about each other and, ways we tick, and you said that you're a tinkerer, that
yes.
you, and I think that kind of goes to this, tunnel vision that you can get. And I admire it because you get locked in on something, and then it's like a tinkering all day sort of thing. And I can see how that played in your life with music.
It's absolutely, and it plays into what I do now. But it can be a blessing and a curse. It's just a matter of harnessing it, because it can be counterproductive. Somehow you can waste a lot of time doing stuff. But I will say that when I get locked in on something, or I really kind of convicted about it, or really inspired, or I can really lock in, and music clicked, and then I started to I'm certainly an extrovert, so I've never had any problem kind of getting up in front of people. In fact, I kind of it's weird with basketball. If you're on the free throw line, everybody's looking at you. I had to work at that, so it was, I would get nervous, like if you're in that situation. But when it came to music, if you put 20 people in front of me, it legitimately got easier for me. It's like I felt more confident in my ability. So you hear people say, "Oh, it's easier for me when the pressure's on the line," like in a sports game. That just means they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Like I kind of found my spot. So
you found your spot. You're like, man, I really dig this. You got some affirmation from.
Yeah, I played in front of people, and they're like, they thought I was good. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll keep doing this. Yeah. So that was it.
It's funny how I think in all of our lives, in terms of direction, we tend to go where a lot of that affirmation is. Yeah. I think we all kind of really crave that, and I think that's how we develop passion, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it's funny. I love music, but it's and this is maybe a parlay into kind of the act two, and we can keep talking about the music because I love it. In fact, it means more and more to me, kind of that experience and what it taught me. But it was what I was passionate about was I was an entrepreneur. It kind of once it came down to it, because the music was a gift. That it was like, okay, now go use this. And I was thinking in terms of, well, how do I do this as a living? Not because being driven by, okay, I can do this and I want to make a living at it. Now, how do I do that in the most effective way? Not so much. There's some people that play music and that's all they want to do. They really don't, of course people need and want to make a living, but some people, they live and breathe the music.
Do you think you need both?
You need some.
Because I almost think that your mindset is more practical, and not only more practical, but just better in the sense that, because I think that's the hard part is like, okay, I like music, and then there's the second part of how do I make this work?
Yes. So I was always very, me starting late gave me I didn't have as much invested in it. So I felt like I was kind of playing with house money. So I was like, well, how can I maximize this? Yeah. So I was thinking from it from more of a strategic angle. And really, I loved that. And I loved the networking, and I really believed in what I was doing. And I had no issue. I'd gotten enough affirmation and believed in what I was doing that I had no issue asking for help. So if there was somebody that I knew had influence, or somebody that I knew had done something that I admired, or I was all of a sudden felt, whether real or not, and I can extrapolate that more, that I could reach out to them and approach them and not be afraid by it. And what I realized was that people were, it's flattering if somebody asks you for help or asks you for advice. When many of the people that I would approach, they couldn't help me. They weren't musicians themselves. I was really trying to say, I heard so-and-so. Can you connect us? If not, what do you think I should do here? And what it just revealed to me is that that was powerful to learn. People want to help you, especially people that have done something. If you're approaching them looking for advice and guidance, not looking for a handout, but looking for some guidance, people can really give you some support, both in terms of the guidance they give you, but also I built a lot of goodwill and just in the networking of, they wanted to see me succeed, so they kind of had this little interest to see me go on. So the relationships that I built in music and outside of music as a result of what I was doing, I still have many of those relationships today, and they paid huge dividends in me kind of even when I went on beyond it.
So how did you, it seems just based on what you're saying, that transition seems so clean, like you were already looking at music from the business side. You love playing. You kind of took an entrepreneur type mentality towards it. And you did that for years in Knoxville, in and around the Southeast. Is that where you stood?
Regional. I mean, it was concentrated in around Knoxville area, but the thing that I would have, all roads were going to lead to Nashville, and I was spending quite a bit of time in Nashville. And the guy that I wrote songs with, who was managing me at the time, he was a songwriter in Nashville that had success, had some hits that were on the radio, and had many different contacts. And then he kind of didn't have like a bitter end, but he wanted to move on. Kind of toward the end of the '90s, had kind of done what he came there to do, and then moved to Knoxville and had a business with his brothers. And when I started working with him and writing with him, he was like happy to introduce me to some of his old songwriter friends. Well, this is just right place, right time. You know, they hadn't seen him in 4 or 5 years, so they were thrilled to see him. And he had credibility, and they knew he could write, so they probably knew that he wouldn't be bringing some bum to him. Because if I had any gift or anything that I really enjoyed the most, or that I was going to have the most upside in, it was going to be the songwriting piece of it. I love performing and I love doing that stuff, but the thing that really, that I really loved, and that kind of this thing that I learned in doing it at a high level with people that were doing it professionally, was the songwriting piece. Was the most valuable thing that I probably got.
As you're talking about your songwriting, one thing I have to share with you that I think but there was a time in my life when I bet I had 5 Brad Blackwell Fresh T-shirts.
If you've seen the Fresh album cover,
I think you have to describe it for everybody.
I mean, it's outrageous, but
it looks a lot like your
it's
face.
outrageous. I guess if you know, I mean, it's just totally embarrassing. But I knew it was. Here's why I'm proud of it, because I know it's outrageous. I knew it was ridiculous. I knew I was going to get made fun of forever. But at some point along the line, I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm cool with that. Well, and I'm still cool with it. Like, I know it's ridiculous, but it is
let me tell you, for one, I loved them. I literally wore them weekly. People didn't think I washed them, and the truth is I did. I just had a whole bunch of them. And I think I got secondary made fun of by our friends because I wore them so much.
There's something to be said if you just kind of own it. Like,
I was like, hey, I'm a fan and I like it, and this is my favorite shirt.
I mean, they're. I'm kind of embarrassed for anybody that doesn't order them around, But if you own it, it's my face. So.
Dude, I owned it. I hope we can. At some point, we're gonna have to get a picture of me with the Fresh T-shirt. Yeah. How many albums did you end up making?
3.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. Yeah. Over the course of
5 years. No, I should say it was really 4 years. But
is that a pretty good clip?
I was okay.
I
was active. We were very efficient. Again, I had the benefit of I had somebody that had done this before. Like Jim Denton is his name. He said, look, there's the way you can do it this way, or we can do it the way. And really, my albums were done the way that a demo would be recorded in Nashville. If you wrote for a publishing company and they kind of had a group of songs, you would bring in a group of studio musicians. They would have it all charted out. You would be very prepared for it, and you would maximize your studio time. Well, I've never seen anything in the world like being in a studio with Nashville studio musicians. It's like a religious experience, and I've already told you that I love music, but it's not like this like burning fire thing with it. I like the creative outlet, but some people are just all about the music. But you can't not appreciate what I witnessed, and anybody that was there, like my parents are there, like they still get like kind of chills thinking about it. They're so talented. It's like magic. So I mean,
and they can just do whatever.
It's unbelievable.
Whatever they want to do.
I've never seen anything like it. It was like a magic trick. They've never heard the songs before. They have no clue who I am, what I am. It's just another day at the office for them. And I mean, like if you listen to any of my songs, like. She's My Rainbow is it's my hit, but I mean, that was one take, literally one take. They'd never heard the song before and they played it. We did a second take and the first take was better. So, and then that was the exact same thing for 2 or 3 other songs. It was just astounding.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my mom earlier about the music world and like, I feel like with a really good studio musician in the situation that you were coming into in Nashville, like you wouldn't have to coach these people very much. Like you just show them something, you tell them what you want to happen, and they can just make it work.
It's amazing. I mean, it's just another day at the office. Like, LeBron James laces up and goes. They're literally as good at their job as anybody can possibly be on earth. So it was good for me just to go forward to see, oh, this is what this is how professionals behave. It's not an accident. Like, this is clearly a honed craft. And even the songwriters, like, it was not like everybody sitting around drinking beer. It was like, if you're writing and it's your job, and somebody is a publisher or a publishing company or a record company is investing dollars in you to produce. I mean, we got up in the morning and went to work, and then we wrote all day, and then that was that. So it was. I saw that things rarely happen by accident, and that Nashville, as beautiful as it is not a talent contest. There's so much talent. It's just unbelievable, the amount of talent.
There's no shortage.
Holy cow! And this is ultimately why I was fine. Moving on was to really go for it. You got to have this love. Like, that's all I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm here to do. And I had this feeling of, like, I'm here to do this for a minute, and then I'm like, because otherwise your tank, you can run your tank dry really fast, and to do it at a high level, you really need to be around for a long time. You need to.
It's a game of longevity. Like,
it's an endurance contest. It's not a talent contest. For sure.
Because everybody's talented.
Because everybody's talented.
Everybody's, that's kind of like the barrier to entry, and then it's like, who can last the longest.
Well, I realized I was pretty. Well, I had the benefit of I have a lot of smart people around. I mean, I had good guidance or very rational people, and how I was thinking about it. And yeah, I mean, I could have made a go of it, but the risk reward there it just didn't line up. The one thing that was an aha moment for me was, I think it was some stat came out that since iTunes became a platform, there was like 800,000 new songs that got released to iTunes. Or I'm making numbers up, but ballpark. And 1% of them, less than 1% of them, had sold more than 5,000 downloads.
It's kind of, you and I have talked a little bit about, or a lot about the long tail. And I feel like, with music, and, these platforms that exist, you can have so many different songs that have these very, small audiences, because there's something for everybody.
It is wild. And it's just that my songs are still there. I mean, the amount of songs that are still come out since then. But the thing that was the aha moment for me was, I had two songs that did sell over 5,000. So I was in the 99th percentile, in terms of
that's crazy
of doing it. But the revelation was, okay, 1% of 800,000. I mean, it's like, I had a 1 in 10,000 shot. Like, I don't like my odds. Like, even though I'm in the 99th percentile, there's still, 10,000 other people that are doing the exact same thing that, I don't like the 1 in 10,000 odds.
Yeah.
So, and I've talked with you about this, that what I started to realize was I got exposed playing at people's houses. I got exposed to wealth, to money, to people that really could afford to have somebody come play for X dollars for a couple hours on a random weeknight. And, I see their house and their boat and their all this stuff. And I mean, I just kind of like, what do y'all do? I mean, what is going on? But I started to see that, people either inherit it, they're doctors, or they own their own business, and they're entrepreneurs. And, that was kind of the three. And so I got exposed to that and got to, people really want to talk to the musician. So it was they wanted to talk to me, and I wanted to talk to them too, because I wanted to know what they did.
It's a great icebreaker.
It was a great icebreaker. I mean, seriously,
yeah.
I leveraged that to death. People want to come talk to you when you're done playing, and I wanted to talk to them too. So
you learned a lot through that experience, and then you went and got your MBA post music.
Yes, because I definitely started to realize, because Jim Denton, the guy I wrote with, was an entrepreneur, business owner, and they have done very well. And he had the same approach that he had to music that he applied to his business, and very practical, very problem solver oriented, and very process oriented. And I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
And so I knew I liked. What became revealing to me was that I liked the business aspect of the music. I don't necessarily like the music business it's brutal. I mean,
Sure.
the model, if you will. But I liked the thinking of the business, and the joy that I really got out of what I was doing towards the end was in the thinking about how I turn this into something. To finish my thought from before, what I realized was 1 in 10,000 shot on the download piece, but that if I'm the 1,000th best business person in a town like Knoxville, Tennessee, well, I'm probably a millionaire. I mean, I don't know how many there are in Knoxville, but it's like I like my odds better in my ability to do something in that regard. And quite frankly, that's what I like the most.
Yeah.
That's where I was getting. That's where I was getting the most joy. And so yeah, business was the answer for me. So I went and got my MBA.
And I have to say, like, just through this conversation, through years of conversations between you and I, it seems like that experience was just perfect for you.
It was perfect.
In terms of just a real world training ground. From the and just having we talked about conviction, learning. Man, this is what I love about it.
There would be stuff that would be identified in the MBA program. They'd be like, oh, that's what that's called. Or that I was trying to do myself, thinking that I was, reinventing the wheel. It'd be like if you just found a guitar and you made, a chord and be like, look what I just invented. And it's like, no, dude, there's like a million of those. Like there's people write textbooks on these things. It was things that I was trying to do, running my own business. Managing your inventory. Like I have way too many. The reason why you probably have 4 fresh T-shirts is because I mismanaged my inventory. I bought way too many T-shirts. I should have made that a little bit more.
No, I think that's wrong. I think you had super fans, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Like I think you knew that you had super fans, so you had to provide the inventory for that.
But there are all these things. So I came in with a completely different viewpoint of the program, and I was so engaged, and so it was a long shot if I was going to get in. I went to the University of Tennessee MBA program. I knew I had an interesting story, but it's not like I had like killer grades in undergrad, and
But I mean, something that we talk a lot about is like with the business stuff. I feel like so much is learned, through doing it and through,
Yes.
And the way you put yourself out there with music and with your albums. I can't imagine. You don't even need to know the terms.
No, I'm glad I know the terms now, but it was one. I had immediate context when I was learning something, a new concept. I had a pool of experiences that I was like, oh, I could apply it in that regard and had an interesting. Whereas if I had just gone into management straight out of undergrad and then ultimately decided to come back and get my MBA, it would have been a completely different learning experience. So I feel like I was just really in a good position. It was I had fertile soil to soak up what was taught to me there, and so I really got a lot out of it, and it's benefited me. And it was so clear to me when I got going. I was like, this is where I'm at. I loved the resolve. We've talked about it too. That music is so subjective. Art, it's and that's great. But there's no answer. Like at the end of the day, something that I think is great. Everybody might not.
Well, it's interesting because I used to, my brother Andy, he was really into theater. He was writing shows, and you guys actually played, and he's played with you, and you also did a really cool show at the Bijou, where he did his play the same weekend you had your show. It was just a fun weekend for our families. But I used to be very jealous because of that subjectivity. Because me as a tennis player, when I was playing, you won or you lost.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time with, every single week you lose. And
all right, okay. You didn't lose very much.
Well,
Let's just okay.
but you know what I mean, like
extra hard on yourself, 2-time All-American.
But like there's so much losing involved, and it's so objective. You either won or you lost, and I used to be envious of the path, this artist path, where you do your shows, you do your plays, you do the best you can. Sometimes you get a great response, sometimes you don't, but you just go on. You don't have to. You're not out of the tournament, or you go to the next show.
Yeah,
and it's just interesting. It's because I can also really relate to craving that objectivity, craving that
wanting
right
an
or
answer.
wrong.
Yeah. So it's a hard one to see, because I definitely see both. I enjoyed that. There's no pressure. I mean, sometimes I could go up there and think like, I just totally botched that, or the guitar went out of tune, or but I got to finish the song, can't just stop, and people just go crazy. I'm like, that was terrible, but so it's just completely subjective. You have no idea. But I found myself ultimately wanting to, feel like that I could track my performance. I mean, I could track how many people were coming to my shows. I could track how my downloads
so
were doing.
You found the objectivity.
In business or finance, I mean, things tie. I mean, you can tell if you got the right answer or not usually.
Yeah.
Or you can. It's a little bitty. It's more engineering type of brain, and I think that's probably the engineering aspect, or just that as a tinkerer, that is how I was, and even through the entrepreneur lens, you're building something, you're trying to, which that's a thing that I never really explored when I was younger, but I think that's how I viewed it. And even when I was writing songs, I was very systematic about it, and very kind of trying to treated it like an engineer. I think that's why music is so mathematical. I think that's why I was able to
that actually makes a lot of
pick
sense.
it up easy. There's a lot of patterns that repeat themselves. I have a knack for remembering like patterns and numbers, and I always have, be it basketball cards or where some random person went to school or what jersey number they wore. I mean, that stuff it never leaves me, but I guess it's the same thing for music. If it's a chord progression, or once I got it, I got it.
So
It's the patterns.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because, through, getting the opportunity to work with you, like I can see all these things, in the way you approach your work, and I kind of want to, move into performance medicine a little bit, because
you're very easy to work with, because what I need with you, because you are so receptive. What I need is, I love to throw the ideas out there, and we're great about, kind of best idea wins. Let's just get them out. I feel like a lot of times when we're thinking strategically about performance medicine, it's creative. It's complete. So I'm very, I like working with y'all. I mean, seriously, you guys, it's just very fulfilling, because you guys have a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Well, we've had some really cool conversations. I think it'd be nice for the audience to, get a behind the curtain look of the way we've been, approaching this last year, which has been just a crazy year. We've made, lots of decisions just in terms of, vision casting, where we're trying to go, and we've always had this mentality of, okay, there needs to be more performance medicines. There needs to be more of this type of medicine. And we've had some fun conversations about it. And I, there's someone very close to you who doesn't know what we do. And that's been kind of, been our mantra. It's like, okay, how do we somehow reach that person? And, because if they don't know, then there's so many different people who don't know what we do.
Yeah, that has been the objective third party. If I brought nothing else to performance medicine, it's been that. It's been affirmation to you all, like this is a good thing. There needs to be more of this, and B, people don't know about this. You guys live in the weeds. And maybe think that but you haven't even scratched the surface. There are so many people that would benefit in a life-changing type of way from what performance medicine offers, that just simply don't know about it. They don't even know. They don't know about. They don't even know to ask about it. So how could they know about it? So
and it's kind of an interesting something we talk a lot about. Is like, it's an interesting conversation to have with people who, because you don't know what you don't know. And
right.
I think it's important for us to, talk about it in a way where, we don't expect people to know what we know or what a Dr. Rogers knows or what an Andy Rogers knows.
Right.
It's just a very interesting, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, my some background. My wife is a pharmacist, and she at the time, right as we got married, she was working at a particular compounding pharmacy that Performance Medicine was a customer.
Sure.
So I just remember her telling me, like, Tom's got a good thing going on. Like, you would not believe. I've never in my entire life, I'm trying to think of what her quote was, but it was, I've never seen something in medicine impact people's life the way that what performance medicine is. It really is hormone replacement therapy. She's just saying it makes so much sense that this is solving so many people's problems, that whether they can't lose weight or they're fatigued or they're kind of aging, or that so much of it ties back to a hormone imbalance. And so she just said, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And also that, quite frankly, that I knew nothing about it in pharmacy school.
And she was coming at it from an interesting angle, because I think most people know that our biggest partner in this deal is these compounding pharmacies, because so much of what we do is hormones, and it's all bioidentical hormone replacement, and we use compounders for that.
Yeah, and I get the reason why you wouldn't know about it. It's easy from an economic standpoint to see that drug companies are so huge. I don't want to act like the man's out to get us, but the patent has been up, or you can't actually get a patent on a bioidentical just because it's naturally occurring. So you can't get a patent on something that's naturally occurring. There's no money in it for them, so they can't. So why would they spend $1 gajillion marketing it, making sure you're aware of it, et cetera? So that clicked with me, and I was like, oh my gosh. So,
well, and I think, just you saying that, it's really interesting how important it is now more than ever to make your own decisions in regards to your health. And I think, where we come from the performance medicine world is like, okay, this is a partnership between a provider or a practice and a patient, and let's kind of put the third-party payers, the big pharma people, on the side over here, and use them when it's in the patient's best interest and stuff like that.
Yeah, the healthcare is incredible. I mean, what has been accomplished by big pharma is unbelievable. I mean, it's incredible the work that they do, and it's incredibly valuable. But there are some components that of just the healthcare system and kind of what's put out there that are just wholly unhelpful. And in this particular realm, the preventative health aspect of it, of finding the right way to say you need to get ahead of these issues rather than waiting till the issues occur and then having the drug for it. I think performance medicine's proactive approach is very refreshing and is the appropriate way to handle your health, and is the appropriate way to manage a relationship with a patient, which is my objective is to make you right. Either let's get ahead of it, or let's figure out what's going on and fix it. Let's get to the root cause. What's so clear is that the root cause is oftentimes hormones, but it could be something completely different, and you guys aren't afraid to go there.
What's interesting is, we've also had a lot of conversations with Dr. Rogers, and the thing that he says has impacted his patients the most, there's two things, and I'm sure the people listening have heard. It's testosterone and Adderall. And I've always found that interesting, especially like the Adderall thing is really interesting.
People struggle with that stuff.
But it's like a life changer.
Oh, absolutely. I've heard the same thing.
So, he said that, like, I've never had a patient come up to me and thank me for putting them on that statin or blood pressure medicine.
Yeah, it's not to say statins aren't a wonderful thing.
Exactly.
That's not the point. The point is, let's talk. It's very easy to see if you lot of death and taxes. Like they're accountants and physicians. And there's always going to be around, but they see 1 million people a day, or they see 50 people a day, and they kind of have their protocol. And also there's pressure from administration or to say, we got to check XYZ box to get reimbursed. Of course, that makes sense from the administration to say, if we're going to provide the service, we want to get paid for it, and here's how we get paid for it if they have insurance. So it makes sense that is why the process is what it is and why they're doing it. But at the end of the day, what's missing is, does the person that you're prescribing this to need it? Like, is that the answer? Maybe it is, or maybe it's that plus some other things. But usually it's next out the door by the time that gets to happen. So.
Yeah, and also just that, the idea of taking control of your own health and having some ownership stake in it versus, we believe in, in the more traditional model, especially in primary care, it's all reactionary and, for lack of a better term, like the patient doesn't have skin in the game in the way that they actually do,
Yeah, that's what I have loved most about just knowing it on the periphery what you all are doing, and then Hannah, my wife, kind of giving me some insight and just speaking so highly of what you all were doing and kind of the way that you were approaching things. She's like, this is just kind of the way it should be. And then other people in my life that I know that have gone to you all that have said, like that's how it's supposed to be done. Like, meaning I was engaged. They were asking me questions, and it was more of a consult than tell me what's wrong. I don't know. It was more involved, skin in the game.
Yeah.
It was more empowering and likely addressing the root cause rather than just a one-size-fits-all solution. Then let's move on to the next patient.
Well, man, I want to be respectful of your time and our producer's time, and we're gonna wrap up here. But man, I just want to say, just in front of everybody, we are so thankful and blessed that you're on our team. Like, I've never seen, we're all just so proud to say Brad Blackwell works with us. And,
please, you guys are so great. And if people watching wonder, Ben's like this all the time. He's actually, the whole family is just, you guys are wonderful people. You really are. And you guys have a really good thing going. And I'm just thrilled to be a part of it. So good things are coming.
Now, I do have a favor to ask.
Yes.
We're getting ready to wrap up the show. Will you send us away the most appropriate way?
I certainly will.
Let's do that.
All right.
Guys, this has been Outside the Box Conversation. I'm your host, Ben Rogers. This, of course, is Brad Blackwell. And as always, we will see you guys next time.
Don't go When I think about us, I think about you leaving. When I think about you leaving, now I wish that you could stay, but I don't get down, no. Don't you stop believing, 'cause a love like the one I got for you don't go away, no. And when you talk about us, your friends, they don't believe you. Say that we're just too young and the life's bound to get in the way. But don't you lose your faith, girl. Yeah, don't let them deceive you. A love like the one I got for you don't go away, now. A love like the one that I got for my best friend, baby. A love that says everything gonna be okay. And I don't ever think about what's gonna happen, 'cause a love like the one I got for you, it don't go away.